Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast. I am your host, Hawk Hartico, and I am joined today by somebody who is younger than me, but somebody who inspires me and motivates me to be better and do better. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest today. His name is Christian Wassana.
Yo, I appreciate you. Appreciate you for allowing me to be here to do this, to come in here and talk a little bit about not just me, but yourself as well.
Well, no, man, this is about you today, brother. You know,
Okay.
I just want to thank you as well for making time to come in here. I know you're extremely busy. I've been trying to get you in here for a while, so
Yeah.
it's an honor.
No, it's good. It's awesome. Like I said, like you said, it's you also motivate me to do better, to be better. It's very mutual. So whenever you asked me to come to, chop it up with you, I instantly thought this would be a great thing to do. So
Yeah, man, it's kind of ironic because, I've watched you, obviously, I know your parents, I know your folks. I'm not going to get back into too much of that. I want to keep this about you. So
Okay.
for anybody that out there, let's talk about who Christian Wassana is.
Okay.
I really want to kind of start from the beginning, kind of tell me about where you were born, who your folks, stuff like that.
Okay, so I was born in El Reno, product of El Reno. Reno, so that's where I was born, and I was raised around the El Reno, Weatherford area, back and forth with my mom and my dad. My dad is Reggie Wassany, my mom is Tracy Dorsett. I was raised around my grandparents, Truman and Rose Wassany, come from the Yellow Eagle Big Bear family. I didn't know my mom and dad too much. I did know my mom's dad, which was Roy Hall. Kind of raised around him as well. Her mom is Josie Hall, but that's their mom and dad. But then I was born or raised around the El Reno, Weatherford area, like I said, and then back and forth. I was with my mom, back and forth with my mom and my dad. And I didn't really. I played basketball. I was a college basketball player, high school basketball player, but I wasn't too much of a basketball player until later in the game, like my Darlington days. Obviously, Darlington brings in, creates basketball players because that's all we do there. That's all we have that gym in there. And that's when I really started enjoying the game, loving the game. I was brought up around the game by my mom. My mom always played basketball, went to Indian tournaments, played college ball, but I never really took interest in it until I got to Darlington. Darlington is where I fell in love with the game and started taking it serious. So that's what I love to do. And then eventually I started getting into other passions. I have a lot of love and passions, and obviously basketball, TV and film, storytelling, my movement, my motivational movement, I am, I can, I will, that I created in my clothing line. So those things are my passions that I end up getting into later on in life, that I'm currently doing right now. So,
That's awesome, man. I just want to give a shout out to Darlington, because like you said, they have created a culture there of basketball, and, it's been acknowledged by not just us tribal members, tribal citizens, but non-tribal people as well. I've had people tell me, that system is really working out well because now we're seeing the fruition of it. Shout out to the El Reno girls basketball team who just won state. I think we had 8 or 9 tribal members, I think, on that team, something like that. But, doing really well. Like you said, we watched these girls grow up since they were little, and, they were always been some ballers. And, that generation is going to keep coming. We just see it. We got some other up-and-coming, kids that are playing ball over there that I've been watching and following, and, they're going to be the next champions.
Yep, 100%. And it starts, at that young age, because like you said, these young girls, all of them started at that young age building that culture together, learning how each other plays, working in the gym together. And really just building that connection. That's where it starts. It starts at those 7th, 8th grade days, and then coming together at that high school level and so forth. So it was beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see, beautiful thing to witness, to be a part of, to watch them, as our community, watch them grow and have the success that they have had. And, like you said, we need to keep that going, keep that growth and that success pushing, because we will always have talent come through here. Cheyenne and Arapaho country, it's just in our blood, it's in our DNA, to play basketball, to be athletic, our sports. So we need to just keep it going, keep it pushing.
Do you still play ball?
I attempt. Basketball is always going to have my heart.
Yeah.
Basketball is always going to be one of my top passions. I coach now when I can.
There you go.
But I'm always going to be around the game. That's what brings me joy. That's what brings me happiness. So I'm always going to find a way to be. If I'm not playing, I'm always going to find a way to be there helping, our youth and the best that I can, But I'm still young, and I keep having to remind myself that I'm still young and that I still have the ability to play, And my biggest thing with basketball was I got distracted. I let the worldly distractions distract me, and it took a lot on my game. And I want to see. I was gonna tell people I want to see what my full potential can be without those distractions now, to fully train, to fully, get in the gym like I need to be, and see what my full potential can be and what I can do, because I feel like whenever I was playing in I guess you could say my college and high school days, I don't feel like I was at my best because of those distractions, because of what I was going through, the certain things that happened. So I always say that I want to be able to come back and train and fully prepare and hit these tournaments and see, So it's not out of the question yet.
Well, those distractions, they might have diverted you from, like you said, your potential, your full potential. But oftentimes these trials and tribulations in life are what build our character, and it makes us truly appreciate something that we might have taken for granted, such as talent, such as skills.
Exactly, yeah. And like I said, man, it's one of those things that you look back, and that's just everybody. You look back, man, I could if I would have just done this or focused more, locked in, and now obviously that's what makes you have the drive to say that to the younger kids, because you want to see them reach that full potential, obviously, that you didn't, or do those opportunities that you didn't because you didn't do that. But like you said, it's that game of living and learning. It's that game of the best experience is where you go through it and it, so it's kind of that fine line of, well, just listen to me. Like you had people growing up telling me, don't do this, don't do that, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then you do it anyway, and then you learn the hard way. But, obviously it's just, there's always going to be that passion there and that love for it. And I don't think it'll ever go anywhere,
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of wanted to talk about that because you had said something about earlier that you got to remind yourself that you're still young, and I think I said, like I said, when I first saw you, you're like 14 or 15. And, you always had this drive in you, and I just kind of, I was curious, what age did you think that kind of really kicked in?
Man, so that drive and that passion, I don't think it has never always been there. Growing up, there were times in my life where I was going the other road. I was getting into trouble. I was dealing with stuff that I shouldn't have been dealing with, which is normal. Yeah. I mean, it's, as a young teenager growing up, you want to experience, and you want to, especially who you're surrounded with. I was surrounded not always by the best crowd, and obviously that can draw you in, and being young. So there was a time where I was in my, I don't even know what you want to call it, stage.
Experimental? Yeah,
experimental, I guess you could say, and it didn't lead me to great places. I used to, and one thing that I always dealt with going from back and forth from Weatherford and El Reno, there was a lot of racism, and I didn't know how to handle people talking about Native people, and talking about my homeboys and my homegirls. That's because we stuck together, in the system. Like when you're at a big school like that, you have your cliques of, different who you're, and when people would talk about it, we just want to fight. That was it. We'd fight, and that's what I did. And it led me to decisions and certain things that were not very good or very great. But like you said, all of that happens for a reason. So I really think that going through those times, those, being like that has led me to that drive and that passion, going through that, because, and it's not only that, it's seeing what my people that I grew up around went through and did and where it led them. So it was kind of like, okay, I seen that what they're doing. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. And I think that's also a huge part, But growing up, I had a good mom and I had a good father figure to kind of keep it in my ear on how to be, on what to do, But of course, you can have somebody talking in your ear all day long, about what to do and what not to do. But at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. You're going to see life and be who you're going to be around, and you're going to do and fall into victim of whatever it may be, the troubles, the negativity. But that helped me. That has helped me, because I always talk about planting seeds. Those seeds were planted in my life at a very young age. The right thing to do, the good thing to do. And I think those have always stuck with me throughout, and I think that's why it's so important that we plant these seeds in these kids' mind, because whether you know it or not, eventually it's going to stick with them and it's going to be there for them. And, and I think that's why it's a big part of what I do on specifically planting those seeds. You don't got to listen, you don't got to, but you're going to hear me, and it's somewhere in there, it's going to stick. And that's why I think for me was the people, because I was always traveling with my mom. She would always she worked at Unity, United National Indian Tribal Youth Conference with J.R. Cook and all them. And we'd always had these speakers, I was always hearing people. I didn't really pay too much attention, but it was always those people, those natives like, you can do it, don't give up, da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But it was still in my mind, it was still there. And eventually I think it came full circle, and it ran within me to have that, to have that passion and that purpose for wanting people to do good, seeing them do good, striving to be better and to do better. So I think it was kind of like a full circle thing,
Yeah, definitely, man. I just want to give a shout out to your parents, They as a parent myself now, that's what you want for your children. You want them to not have to struggle or, claw their way up like we had to. You want to drop that ladder down, make their ascension up a little easier, and you want to instill in them all the knowledge you can so that they don't make the same mistakes you did. Yeah. And your mom, she's always giving me time. She's always giving me advice, and anytime I talk to her, it's like, I walk away with something new.
Yeah. And that's, that's the thing about, whether it's your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, whoever it may be, is, and specifically my situation is that it was never perfect. Mm-hmm. It was never perfect. We struggled just like everybody else. But they gave their everything and their all for me not to have to, struggle as much or to go without. They always did what they had to do for me to be okay, for me to not to have to struggle as much, So, I'm very thankful for not just my mom, my dad, but everybody, my grandma, my grandpa, my uncles who helped be there and shape me who I am. That's one of the biggest things that I strive to be, for my younger siblings, not just my siblings, but in my community, wherever I go, is I strive to be that person that they were. I may not be there as much, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to tell you, you can do it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to say I'm only a phone call away. That's what I always tell these kids is, I'm not anybody that's going to judge you. I'm not anybody that's going to talk bad about you because of what you're doing, but I'm going to simply be an ear for you to listen to, because that's what they did. They were there, they listened, they understood. And I think that's what we should all strive to be, is that person that kid may not have,
Definitely, man. That's great insight, and I love that because that stays true to our, values as Indian people, mm-hmm. Our collective mentality, our community-based, thinking. Yep. And, just being, there for each other. And like they said, a village raised a baby, type mm-hmm. of thing. And, oftentimes, it's, I look at people sometimes in situations as like a river. You walk up to a river, water's flowing by, but that water didn't just get there. water came from somewhere, and if you track that river back, you could find the sources of it, whether it be a stream, a creek, a runoff, anything like that. But all this came together to put that water to where it is now, where you see it, and so people are like that too. And so, it is important that we do recognize our sources, of what makes us who we are, good or bad, but we make the most of it, and that's kind of, we pay homage in our own way, growing up myself, I realized that, that saying, hurt people, and just that, the generations before me and my generation, just breaking that, and realizing that, you don't want to pass these, this generational trauma, you got to stop it somewhere,
Exactly.
And it takes a big step to finally, to do that, because like I said, you can only teach what you've been taught, unless you, really want to be better and do better, and that takes something in somebody, to really acknowledge that and say, I'm gonna stop this cycle, I'm not gonna continue this behavior that, I might have been exposed to growing up.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's the work that's the most important in our communities that people often don't recognize or put on a pedestal, is these generational and historical traumas and cycles that are being broken by these people, because it's not easy. It's not easy to do that. And I mean, that. And whether we know it or not, it runs in a lot of our communities and a lot of our families. So breaking those cycles, ending those cycles is hard. It's tough, and that's what people need to recognize, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's abuse, whether it's whatever in your relationships, your home life, putting your best foot forward to stop these cycles, to break these cycles, is the most important thing that we can do, and that's why I like to focus on the youth. I like to focus on the youth is because those are the kids. These are the kids that's going to be leading one day. These are the kids that's going to be helping. These are the kids that's going to be carrying on our traditions, our values, our culture, our ceremony, our songs, our ways of life. So getting them at a young age is one of the biggest reasons why I focus on that, teenagers and whatever, because sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of our kids don't have that privilege of having people there or somebody to be there for them or help them or guide them or, and like you said, but as Native people, that's where we come in, and we are a community to do that, to step up in those roles often, to be there for those kids, to help those kids. We may not be there all the time, but, at least they know that, Hawk or Christian or whoever it may be, they're a phone call away, and I can be there for them, and we can help them in any way we can. But that's why I feel like it's important that we the youth is the biggest thing that we focus on.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I think one of the biggest ways we can give back is if we improve ourselves. We are role models. We're leaders. We're pillars. To hold that bridge up. Things of that nature. And so, getting ourselves right and getting ourselves better.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way, because then we can actually start to, not just affect people by our actions, but just by displaying
being exactly being. And that's
Go ahead, brother. I wanted to kind of touch upon this because, where you're getting at is something that stuck out to me from the very beginning, because I remember, and this is like a moniker, Christian on the road to success, Wassana. And so, I do believe, in manifesting, but I believe in manifesting through actions. And through hard work, through discipline. You don't just, I'm gonna imagine the conjure, nothing just falls in your lap like that unless you're just extremely lucky.
Exactly.
But that's very, very rare. And so, the fact that you started at such a young age with this mentality on the road to success, can you talk about that a little bit? Where did that come from?
So it was at Darlington, actually, and this is so funny because at Darlington we had planners. We had to write in our planners, we had our daily assignments and our stuff like that. And I had just made Facebook, and it said middle name. And I was like, middle name? What the heck? And I was going through my binder, writing my daily down. And I turned my binder over, and it said on the road to success on the back in big letters. And I was like, you know what? It just clicked. It just hit me. And I was like, I'm on the road to success. This is kind of that time where I was playing basketball and entering a phase of doing better and doing good, and on the road to success, and that, man, that middle name has stuck. This is 15 years later. I've kept that up there because success is a never-ending journey. It's never, you get success, but it's a journey, and on that journey, you lose, you fail, you obviously, it's a never ending cycle of those losses, those failures, those mistakes. But it's the road, it's the road to success. So, I've kept it, and I feel like it fits well, because it's, as me, I'm a passionate guy for success, and since we're talking about success, I'll go ahead and say my definition of success. Success to me is not winning a trophy. Obviously, we heard that, winning a trophy, a medal, doing something huge and get recognized for it. Success to me is waking up every day and being better than you were yesterday. That's my version of success. How am I helping somebody? How am I being better than I was yesterday? How am I being better, doing better, mentally, physically? What am I doing to be better than I was yesterday? That's my definition of success. So when I lay down at night, I'm like, was I successful today? I was successful today. Today I pushed myself. Today I helped somebody. Today I spread love. I gave love, and I feel like those are the small things that lead to bigger things, So that's my definition of that on the road to success.
Man, thank you for sharing that. 'Cause I think that's just it's awesome that it stuck with you, and also that that you keep it, because I think it holds you accountable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is everybody when you're in a position of, I don't even know what to call it, but whenever people see you and they hold you to a higher standard, and that's in any position, leadership, director,
absolutely.
In your job title, your family, your dad, mom, people expect you almost to be perfect.
Yeah.
They want you to be this person that, and what's funny is I'm the furthest thing from perfect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there is nothing about me that is perfect. I'm probably have more flaws and mess ups and mistakes than half of the people out there who watch me or who know who I am, and that's the thing about this whole thing of, speaking and my motivational movement and my whatever I do, is that I'm always going to be me. I'm never gonna try to fit in or adjust to what society says, because that's just not who I am. But what people need to understand is that we are humans, in any position of leadership, of just a human being. We are just like you. We bleed the same just like you. We make mistakes. We fail. We lose. We cuss. We do whatever these people think that we don't do. We do, and it's like, as soon as that somebody, oh, you do this, you talk to those kids, you do this, so you can't do that, Well, you're all wrong. You got it all wrong, because I do, and I'm going to continue, because that's just life. That's what humans do. But I think that's a big part of the message, is that, we're not perfect. You're not perfect. You're not ever going to be perfect. You're going to fail. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to be a human being. And that's just what it is. And that's just life, So I've had to learn that, that's one of the things that I'm continually learning and understanding, is that I'm never going to please everybody. I'm not going to please everybody. Yeah. I'm going to, people are going to say what they want to say. People are going to hate. People are going to have their opinions, but that's not going to stop me from being who I am and do what I do, and that's something that I had to learn, because it used to affect me. It really used to affect me. It used to get to me when people would talk about me, or people would have their opinions and their thoughts and their ideas, but then I realized that that's everybody. Yeah. They talk about everybody. They hate on everybody. It's not just me. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you guys being like that? So that's something that I kind of had to learn and get an understanding of, is that, that's just how people are, and that's how it's always, that's how it's going to be.
Absolutely. And it's the way of the world. It's the way people are, and I think, when I used to think about us as Indian people in our villages, and how we'd have, the strongest young men go out and hunt for our elders and our youth, and those like the widows, and people like that, to take care of them. That's considered an honor. Yeah. And so, it's just kind of like that nature of giving back and taking care of each other, and, loving each other, and accepting, each other. And so I think that goes a long way. I did want to kind of talk about, because, not only, do you have this great way of thinking, this great mindset, but, I want to talk about your training regimen. What do you do, to not just feed your mind, but, your body and your spirit. And
so a big part of my life is who I am as a Native person. I take so much pride in my culture, my heritage, my lineage, who I am to be Cheyenne and Arapaho. I take so much pride in that. And growing up, there was I'm gonna get into a little bit of stuff here, but I think it's okay. It's good. So I went back and forth between religion. I had a side of religion and I had a side of ceremonies, our songs, our language, our culture, and it was always that life,
balance.
Here, but it never sat right with me. It never made me feel content or at peace. So eventually I started going on my own journey, my own path, still attending our ceremonies, our ways of prayer and songs. And it has led me to a place of peace. It's led me to a place of content. That's what we all search for at the end of the day. That's what we are all searching for, is peace. We're searching for our heart to be content, our heart to be okay, and I was searching for that. And obviously it's a never ending journey. I'm still on that journey, but I've come to a place that has helped me and guided me. And that is my ceremonial ways. That is our sweat lodge, our peyote meetings, my songs, my language, my culture. All of these things, all of these elements that we have used throughout time, throughout our history. That's what our ancestors has used. It has always been connected to the elements, the water, the air, the fire, all of these things. And it made sense to me, so eventually, I started going back and I started reconnecting, because throughout time, throughout colonization, when they brought the churches, the Bible, the religion, all that stuff over here, we disconnected from us, and so reconnecting back to us, to me, the elements, the water, that has grounded me so much that it's become part of my routine. I'll go to a river, I'll go to a lake, I'll take times out of my day to burn cedar, to clarify, to get clarity, to ground myself, So I think throughout time, that's one thing that we have lost, is that groundness, that one within because that's who we are. We are one as Native people. We have a strong connection to, and that goes back to our ancestors. We had the strongest connection to all of our elements. We included them in our ceremonies, our ways. And that's how our ancestors did it, and I'm slowly reconnecting back to that and holding on to that. And that has helped me so much that I've included it in my day-to-day life. I'm a big believer, like you said, in manifestation and energy. We are all energy beings. Everything that's scientifically proven, that everything that we do is energy. That does not lie. Yeah. So when we connect, we have always used our ceremonies as a way of connection, whether that be through our medicine, our water, our fire. We all use those elements to connect to our higher self, to manifest, to create prayer for others, for ourselves, so I hold on to those things. I hold on to our elements, our cedar, our sage, our sweetgrass, our things, to connect, to ground myself, to bring me to a place that my heart is at peace. My heart is content, and that has helped me. It's helped me so much. I know everybody has their own ways, they have their own journeys, but I feel like that's why it's so important that we share our ways. We share what we've been through, how we cope, what we do, because your story may be the way that you do may be the one that helps somebody, because there's a lot of people who push religion, Christianity, the Bible, to do it. But what they do is they push it and they force it and they create a fear on our youth that if you don't believe in this, you're going to go this, you're going to do this, and I'm like, I don't like that, because then it creates fear, and what I am about is telling your story. Tell your story of how you got okay. Tell your story of what has helped you, because that may be what helps somebody else, but don't force it on somebody. Don't create a fear behind it to make them want to do that, So that's what I'm huge on, people telling their stories, telling how they got there. Because your story, the way that you did something, whatever it may be, however it may be, whatever source, way of prayer, thoughts, whatever, it may be the one that helps somebody else, So that's what has helped me, personally. The connection, the groundingness. That's one of my routines that helps me stay connected, that helps me stay balanced, that helps me at my higher self, is staying connected to my language, our songs, our culture, because that's also healing. Whenever we do that, whenever we sing our songs, go to our ceremonies, that's healing. That's healing from what the trauma and the things that have been pushed upon us, our people. So,
man, woo! Could you guys tell that Christian's a motivational speaker, man? Dang, this guy, I tell you, this is what I mean when I say this guy inspires and motivates people to be better, man. And so, I do want to touch upon that because, I do believe in that as well, elements to nature, our relatives, and it's, I don't remember, I think it was Quanah Parker, and forgive me for all my history buffs out there that might, like, no, you're wrong, but there was I think it was Quanah Parker, whenever they started, putting him in a house and stuff like that, I think they had to, like, paint his ceiling like the stars, because that's what it takes for him to go to sleep. Because, growing up out there, I think, he was used to sleeping underneath the stars at night, and nowadays with all this light pollution and stuff like that, sometimes we don't really get to truly see the stars in all their glory and their magnificence, but I think, obviously that was a big part of a lot of native cultures, was the stars and stuff like that. And, just being in nature, I think it humbles us and it reminds us that there's more to around us than just us.
Exactly. Yep.
And so, even like, and like we are reminded of that, like when we go to like a mountainside, where life is just vibrant and it's so fertile, and like a jungle, you see all the different lives and plants and colors, and the bottom of the ocean, all the different life forms and plants and other things that exist down there. It kind of humbles us and it kind of puts us in awe as people, as human beings, because we realize that, man, life is beautiful. And I think as Indian people, that was our connection to our ecosystem. And I remember somebody had asked me one time, what do you think was the most devastating part of assimilation to Native people? Was it the land removal? Was it removing of your language? Was it the breaking of the family? And some other people put a land removal. And I as Indian people, we've always been very adaptive. I don't care where you put us, we were going to thrive, because we were one with the like you said, the elements, one with the ecosystem, the plants and animals around us, and I think that kept us grounded and it kept us humble in a lot of ways, and like I said, it gives us appreciation for life, and even like you said, growing up, hearing these stories about, my people, being painted as, savages and heathens and godless, and, knowing that our spirituality is deep. I talk to my Creator every day, like multiple times a day, just giving thanks and being appreciative for, being here and experiencing life, good and bad, and I think that, just kind of being aware of that, as human beings, like I said, it kind of gives us, we know our responsibility of stewardship.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do is to never stop learning. I think that's one of the biggest things as human beings, one of the biggest things that we can account for ourselves is to never stop learning. And that's why I'm so big on an open mind. I always emphasize having an open mind, because there's so much out there, and whenever you limit yourself, whenever you say, oh, this is the right thing, this is, don't think of nothing else, it's limiting your mind. You're closing off your mind to just this, and that's where you limit yourself, so you have to continuously want to learn. That's one thing that I love to do, is to ask people, what is your thoughts on this? What do you think about this? What do you believe? Why do you believe? What have got you to this point to where you believe this? Because the more knowledge is power. We've all heard that, and that's true. It's because you don't have to, that's what people, they always think, if somebody tells you something, they think you have to hold on to that. Well, I don't want to do that. No. You take it, you put it in your pocket, you do whatever you want to do, and you can maybe take a little something from it, but then you can go on your way. Because my journey is not your journey. You're going to think what you want to think. You're going to feel how you want to feel. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, is you finding your peace, you finding your level of comfort and contentness, that brings you joy and happiness, and that's what it's at the end of the day. That's what it's about. So that's why I tell people, man, don't stop learning. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop. Don't ever feel like you found it, because there's always something else, that's out there to learn and so take those things, put it in your pocket, learn from it, and build something that makes you happy. Build something that brings you joy and peace and comfort. So yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I watch MMA a lot, and there's this a fighter, and he's a black belt, in jiu-jitsu, but he still wears a white belt because he said it's important to keep the white belt mentality, and so like you were saying, I think that is important to keep that mentality. We can always learn, even from, the things that, we might not think we can learn from, like animals and plants and, toddlers, It's something that just changed our whole paradigm, like, oh, wow, dang, I didn't think about that. But, like you said, it's important to always be willing to learn, because like you said, that helps us grow.
And that's how it was for me. Like I was in this mindset before of like, nope, you don't think the same as me, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear it, And that was the worst thing that I could have done, because first of all, it's ugly to tell to tell people to stop talking because you don't want to hear what they have to say because it doesn't align with your values and what you think. But eventually I got to a space, which is the most beautiful thing in the world, is to, what, I want to hear you. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear the way you think. Obviously, like I said, because it's beautiful to hear other people's perspectives and ideas and thoughts, and what can I take away from this? So I encourage that to everybody. I always encourage that to everybody. Don't be stuck, and don't limit your mind. Because your mind is the strongest tool, the thing that can move mountains for you. That's where it starts. So don't limit it.
Definitely, and kind of along those lines, do you read?
Yeah.
Tell me about a book. Like, what is a book that just changed your way of thinking?
So there's a couple authors that I go by. I'll show you right here. It's Dr. Joe. Let me look at his name real quick. But
yeah. So what kind of book is it?
It's basically, so I'm big on Joseph Murphy. This is it, and it's The Art of Metaphysical Demonstration. And I read that book not too long ago. It's one of my favorite books because it gives different ideas on the Bible. It gives different ideas on life. It gives different ideas on thoughts. It's just a whole other way of thinking, And I'm like, whenever I'm reading it, I'm like, this is interesting, because it gives what I have always thought of a certain verse or certain thing. It's the complete opposite. So I'm like, how did you get this? How did you? So that's what that book, Dr. Joseph Murphy is one author that I love. Russell Kennedy, The Four Agreements. I don't know if you ever read The Four Agreements.
No, I haven't.
It's really good. But all the books that I read are basically thought-provoking narrative changes, and it's how to get your mind off of what you've always been taught. It's how to get your mind off of what you've always known, because that's a lot of times we continue our life from what we've been taught from at a young age,
Yeah.
And that is something that has changed and helped my life tremendously, is unlearning those thoughts and those habits from what was forced upon me as a young child, whether be good or bad. And that's what all these books do, is they challenge you to open your mind. They challenge you to see new ideas and new thoughts and new ways of thinking and habits. And it's just, it releases endorphins, endorphins is a natural antidepressant. And it's just beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. So
no, I agree. I remember when I was 14, I read Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, and obviously growing up in a mainstream education system, they teach us, inaccurate history, and so hearing and seeing some of this, and oftentimes they don't even tell you stuff, so learning a lot of this stuff for the first time, and books like Black Elk Speaks, which kind of really gave me an insight to a true Native way of thinking, these are kind of things, like you said, that really shifted my reality. In a lot of ways, because it was all like, wow, I was kind of living blind in a lot of ways, and naive and gullible, and not realizing that we do need to do our own research, look into things ourselves. Don't trust on what other people say.
Yep. That's huge.
Yeah, and so that's kind of one of the things that I still like to do is read. I haven't read as much, but there's definitely a lot of knowledge out there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy because a lot of the knowledge, especially going to our native people, moving to that side of things, there's a lot that the main education system does not know. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that they don't teach. There's a lot that they are just unaware about our native people. A majority, 80% of the school systems don't know about the Sand Creek Massacre, mm-hmm. largest mass murder in United States history, and those kids don't know about it. Why? Mm-hmm. And I think, again, that goes back to a lot of why I do what I do when I go into these school systems, is to help educate and bring awareness to those topics of our native people. Our people were the first ones to take care of and love these lands. Why is our culture, why is our language not implemented in these school systems? Why are there other things that are put in front of us and our culture and who we are as native people? Why? Mm-hmm. We were the first ones to occupy, to love, to take care of these lands. Mm-hmm. And for us to not be a priority is freaking crazy, and I think that's, a big message and a big something that we need to take seriously, mm-hmm. is providing the resources, the people to get into these school systems to bring awareness to our native people, our culture, our language, because we share that space. We share that space with everybody, and everybody should be aware and understand, who we are, where we come from, and why, and, a lot of why it's so important that it's coming from us is because there's a lot of stuff that's not in books. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of oral history that has been passed down from our grandparents, our great-grandparents, that has just been communicated, that knowledge and that history is just right here. So it's important that it's coming from us because we have knowledge, we have stories and teachings that a book or that a non-native may not have, mm-hmm. So it's important work, for our people to be there, to show up, to share who we are, our culture, our songs, our stories. And it has to be implemented greatly,
Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about Sand Creek too, because we were just there recently. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes for taking our elders, on our trips, and giving them opportunities and experiences that many of them might not have ever had. And going there, it took kind of a lot to prepare yourself, mm-hmm. And like I said, somebody asked me, "Have you been there before?" And I said, "Only in my mind." Mm-hmm. And to actually be there and see, seeing all these old, maps and stuff that were drawn out, of that massacre, and being there actually, like I said, it's heavy, mm-hmm. And a lot of our elders, it was the first time being there as well, and some of them, didn't want to go, because they knew it was going to be heavy.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on that?
It was back and forth. It was like, why would you want to go visit a site that our people were massacred on? Why would you want to go feel that? Why would you want to go revisit and be there, to where our people were slaughtered, And but there was also a side of me that wanted to go and feel it, to feel the energy, to feel the to basically put it into a better perspective, and I think that's what a lot of it was to go and to really understand that, our people were there. They were living peacefully. They wanted peace. They wanted nothing but peace. They wanted nothing but our people, our children to be taken care of. And for them to come, when we were put there for a reason supposed to be okay, and then for them to come and massacre our women, our children, and do that, it's a good way to remind ourselves of why we do what we do, mm-hmm. Because our ancestors, we owe it to them, we owe it to them to fight on, to carry on, to focus on our language, our culture, our ceremonies, our songs, because it's our job to do that. We owe it to them. They fought. They wanted nothing more than our language, our people, to carry on in a good way. So going there to that site, I think that was a good reminder. A good. If not anything else, it did bring us all. heavy emotion and thoughts and anger and different things. But it's like, you know what? This is why, this is why, because this is what we do this for them, for the ones who couldn't, who didn't, and to see our elders out there, talking to them, hearing them, that's kind of what they went back to, is this is what they wanted. They wanted us to continue on, learn our language, learn our culture, learn our songs, because that's where our power lies. That's where our power lies. That's where our strength is. There's strength in our ceremonies, our culture, our language. So we have to hold on to those. And that's what they were saying. So at the end of the day, man, it was beautiful. It was good. It was, like you said, many emotions. But at the end of the day, it was good.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, like you were, saying, is it kind of just gave you appreciation that we are still here. Mm-hmm. And no matter what was pitted against us, we're still here and we're still thriving. Mm-hmm. And just being thankful that they had the foresight, to know that the things that they did will affect us today. Mm-hmm. Just like us, like we want to have that foresight to know that things that we do today are going to affect our future generations. Yeah. Which is why we have such obligation and responsibility. Mm-hmm. to think outside of ourselves. And to be aware of our planet. In our just everything going on here. And I know. This mentality that was pushed onto us, like I said, is a very individualistic mentality, and it's me, squish, 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 only the strong survive, dog eat dog world, and I understand that's a reality for a lot of people, and those are the standards they live by in life. And, if we're not careful, we get pulled right into that too, but, staying true to ourselves as Indian people and, these ways that were passed on to us, these beautiful ways that were passed on to us, for a reason. Yep. And so, yeah, like I said, I don't want to get too heavy on stuff like that. It's kind of, but I did want to touch on that because I know there was something I didn't get a chance to ask you about. So, ask you now. But, I do want to, kind of switch into, where we are now. I know you were talking about you're doing movies now.
Yeah, well, TV and film. So going into my senior year of college, I was a basketball player. I was working with the OU women's basketball team, and then it got to a point where I was like, okay, basketball is not going to work out. It came to that realization and that understanding. And they were like, Christian, follow your dreams. Follow your, we all have a passion and we all have a purpose. So follow it, find it. Mm-hmm. And throughout life, I always had a joy for being behind and in front of the camera. I love storytelling. I love bringing out emotions and beauty of stories and people. I was like, so you know what? There, I modeled here and there, but I was like, I want to go into TV and film. I want to act. I want to do it. And that's when it was a thing for Res Dogs came available. And my first set was Res Dogs. They took me in. They showed me a lot. Got me hooked onto it. I was an extra, but that's where I really fell in love. I really fell in love with the whole process of the movie making and TV making, and so I went full into it. I was contacting you. I made that video. That's kind of where we got our first interactions. Was me hearing about you and your talent with film and making creative. So I contacted you about my I Am I Can I Will video that I wanted to make, that we ended up making. Which is, it was good.
It was quick.
It was quick. But I feel like at the end of the day, it was fun. It was a beautiful thing. It got my idea to life, And anyway, so I went full into that, man, and I started acting, doing my best to get on sets, traveling from set to set, being background, because that's what the process of the industry is being BG. So I started doing that, and then by word of mouth, the people at Yellowstone heard about me, and my movement and what I wanted to do in film and act and direct, and they reached out and they wanted me to submit my resume. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and this was a week before I graduated college. So they ended up calling me, and I ended up getting the position for the director's assistant position on Yellowstone season 5. And they were like, this is a good opportunity, but you have to move to Montana for 6 months. And I was like, man, you got to move to Montana. It was kind of scary. actually a lot of scary because like we were talking about earlier, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was expected. The people, no idea. So it was just nerves. And I struggle with anxiety, you know, anxiety a lot in my past. So that stuff started creeping up, you know. But anyway, I got it. I moved up there, obviously pushing my acting career. There was a role that became available that I ended up getting. So I was fortunate enough through my audition to get that role, and then continue to work as director's assistant for that. And then now still going back to finish Yellowstone with the people who I started that with. So that's where I'm at now, you know, in TV and film, obviously still pushing to my acting career, you know, working on my craft, learning, and also pushing to do directing, you know, storytelling. And as in my position right now, I think it's very beneficial for that dream and goal of mine to create stories and to tell our people's stories, not just our people's stories, but stories in general, you know. And I think that's very beneficial and helpful for me and to me. And I'm so very grateful and thankful for the people that have came in that have helped make that happen. Our director, Christina, just cannot be more thankful and helpful. And because I think we all need people like that in our life who believe in us, who want to help us and, you know, have that belief in us, you know, because sometimes that's what it takes, is somebody to see something. So I'm constantly, you know, that's my biggest thing right now, is learning, is, you know, being there, learning as much as I can, helping as much as I can, getting information, being there to help, you know, especially, you know, as being a native, natives are not often represented, and you know that on film sets, you know, so being there representing our people, just being there to any questions that they may have for native storylines or ideas or thoughts, to be there on set, it's beautiful. It's a good thing. So
walk me through like a daily, you know, a daily life up there, you know.
So it just depends. I mean, there's so much going on, you know, from updating so we have a master document. You know, our master document contains the scenes that we're going to do that day, that week, the order that we're going to do them in, who's filming that day, what characters are there, who's there, when they're not going to be there. Did we switch? Did our scene from that day switch to the next day? So it's keeping an eye on that document, updating, you know, what we're going to do, where we're going to go, and basically just being there for her, you know, whatever, and whether that's a storytelling aspect, whether that's her personal life, doing things that she needs done, I'm there to help her and create this story and bring it to life. So in any way that I can do that, that's what I'm there for. So a day in the life, like I said, is anything from running here on set to going here for her, to helping her create this document, whatever may be needed. I may need these shots done like this. What is your ideas? What is your thoughts on this? Just anything, you know, anything from anything, you know. So it keeps me learning. It keeps me busy. It keeps me on my toes. So we're there from, I mean, being with her, we're there from, she's there an hour and a half, 2 hours before call to after, well, not to after, but, it's long hours. So I'm there.
Definitely long hours.
Yeah,
you know, you're on the elements in Montana.
Yeah.
You know, beautiful, beautiful place though.
Oh my goodness. So beautiful. And that's, you know, that's one thing that I really love about Montana, is that you get the rivers, you get the lakes, the crystal clear lakes, the crystal clear rivers, the trees, the elements that we were talking about, that keeps you grounded, that keeps you, because there's so much power in it, man.
Oh man.
After a long day of filming, or that I wake up from filming, I'll just go in that river and I'll get in those trees and just lay there in that water, and it just brings me so much peace and clarity, and it's just beautiful, you know, beautiful stuff.
Man, I can just imagine, bro. You know, congratulations on that, you know. And I would like, so outside of Yellowstone, shout out to Yellowstone, man. Like I said, you know, when I think of Yellowstone, I think of you know, like I said. But, you know, shout out to, you know, them guys. But outside of Yellowstone, what kind of genre, and this is a two-part question, but what kind of genres or movies are you into? And also, who are some of your biggest inspirations in the movie world?
I would say I love. I love love, and I love the height of feeling anger, sadness, and joy, which, you know, romantic, I wouldn't say romantic comedies, but just romantic, any type of that has to do with romantic, you know, I'm all for it. I love, you know, because a lot of us, we go through that, whether it's bad or good, you know, we go through love. We bring, and love brings strong emotions and feelings, you know, and I love to bring that out. I love to see and bring out the life of love and trial and error with relationships, and especially at a young age, you know, especially at a young age, whenever we start to feel these emotions and we start to feel these things and we don't know how to handle them, and we end up with our heart just completely broken. We think it's the end of the world and we're hurting and we're in pain. And then we go through this journey of, wait, maybe it does get better. Maybe, you know, I meet somebody else, or I go on this journey alone and I find myself. And it's just this beautiful journey that I have in mind, that I love to, that I'm eventually going to create. But yeah, so definitely romantic. And then what was the second one?
Inspirations, you know, whether it be actors, writers, directors.
I just have to say, actor-wise, there's a bunch of actors that I like to watch simply because they bring themselves to that character, which is Denzel, which is Sam, which is Leonardo. You know, they make themselves that character so well that it's just brilliant. You know, we talked about that before. So I'm constantly watching and trying to get a better understanding and learning from these people that are not necessarily changing everything about them, but bringing themselves to that character and making it work so well that the audience, you couldn't even tell that they were in another movie playing a dad, you know, and now they're playing a freaking whatever, a pilot or whatever, you know, because they do it so well. So those guys that make it seem so effortlessly good is who I like to watch and to, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, there's some directors and, you know, things that I've been researching to get to, you know, see how they move and how they do things, because every director is different. You know, every director, being on sets that I've been on so far, everybody does everything differently. You know, they have their own way and their own style of the way that they move. So the biggest thing for me is watching different directors, watching different showrunners, see how they move, see the way that they do things, because it goes back to those things that, you know, what eventually one day, how's that, what are you, you know, taking from little pieces from here and there, and you know, seeing how I would do this. Well, I would do this way, you know, and just different things like that. So it just goes back to that thing of constantly learning and trying to find ways, you know, like looking and asking people like you know, who have been through film school and been in this kind of work for a long time, you know, asking questions, you know, what do you think about this? Can you help me with this? And that's the biggest thing for me right now, is asking questions, researching, being there, learning, because eventually, you know, that's what I'm going to be doing. So
yeah, I was going to say, you know, the roles will switch. You know, I'm going to be asking you, you know, hey man, how do I do this? You know, how can I do this? You know, so, you know, that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, I'm like, I'm going to start picking your brain, you know, and start learning, you know, because you know, that is something that I'm into, you know, but, you know, kind of going along those lines, you know, it's awesome that you're getting to see all this aspects of it, you know, because as your dream of being a storyteller, you know, a writer, a director, you know, actors don't necessarily have to understand directing, you know, but directing, you have to kind of understand acting, you know what I mean? And obviously your actors and, you know, your story and capabilities, you know, stuff like that. So just being around, you know, some of these giants, you know, in the game. I mean, you know, there's a saying, it says, you know, if I have seen further than other men, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants, you know, and that's kind of, you know, it's kind of paying homage to, you know, what, you know, your resources, you know, and your people that you have in your corner, you know, that have kind of built you up to be who you are. And so, you know, just a great opportunity. And like I said, man, I'm just truly happy for you. And I've always been happy. I remember when the first time you told me about that, I was like, what? I was jumping around my house, you know what I mean? Because it's like, dang, somebody I know is going to be, you know, doing something great, you know. But obviously, we've always known that about you, you know, that you were going to be. And, you know, I remember whenever you came to me with your video, I think it was like December 14th or something like that. And you were like, I need this out by New Year's. And I was like, okay, because that's part of the for me, like you said, the adrenaline, kind of like the dopamine, you know what I mean? It's all like, oh man, we get to let's do this then,
Yeah.
And so we kind of hit the ground running, and you already had stuff shot, shout out to Koiko, but it was seeing your dream and your fruition, and obviously your motivation, is all like, this is something that I was back behind 100% because I knew the message behind it was pure, and you know what I mean. It's a great message, and well, actually, before I get into it, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your movement.
Yeah,
I am, I can, I will.
So I am, I can, I will. That's this is my logo, and on the back it's I am, I can, I will. But when I created this movement, those words always helped me. It was I am strong, I am brave, I am resilient, I am native, I am. That word alone is very powerful because we are everything that we say we are. And that's why it's so important that we feed ourselves positivity. I am. Who am I? I am. Ooh. I am. I can do anything I put my mind to. I'd always tell myself that, I was like, they would always tell you your mind is the biggest, it can be your biggest asset and it can be your biggest enemy. So I knew that my mind, I had to get it right. Before anything else, I had to have a strong mind, and like I said, I struggled with anxiety and depression. And anxiety, I was diagnosed with everything: panic attack disorder, anxiety, severe anxiety disorder. And I knew that I had to do something. I knew that it was in my, it's a big mind game. That's what it was. So to overcome and to beat this terrible, whatever it may be that you want to call it, I know I had to get my mind right. I knew that I had to train my mind to overcome this, because that's what it is. Just like anything, playing basketball, filming, whatever, the more that you do it, the better it gets. And that's the same thing with our mind, brain training. You have to literally, it's a process that you have to train your mind. You have to train it to see the good. You have to train it to see the positive. You have to train it to be there for you and show up when all these negative emotions and feelings in life is happening. You know what I mean? So that I can do anything I put my mind to came as I can. I will be successful no matter what. Obviously life comes with failures and losses and hurts and heartbreaks, and but after that, now what? Now what? Yes, I lost. Yes, things aren't going my way. Yes, I feel like it's been years and nothing has happened for me, but now what? What do you do? Well, I'm going to be successful no matter what. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to fight, and no matter what it is, I'm going to continue to put one foot in front of the other and make it happen. So I will be successful no matter what. And then I am, I can. That's how the I am, I can, I will. Now the logo is, anything that I've always done, it's been for our people, so my people have always will be in my mind. And this logo, I wanted to do something to represent our people, that we're still here, we're still fighting, because a lot of times the outside world, when they hear of Native people, unfortunately, they think of alcoholics, they think of no good, low life people. And that's not who we are. That's not who we are. Obviously, because of the generational and historical trauma and the things that have happened to our people, we are where we are, but that's not who we are. We are not those statistics. We are not those numbers that show that we're the highest in alcoholism, suicide, obesity. Our people are so much stronger than that. We are so much more talented than that. And that's where this comes in, my logo, to basically show that we're still here, we're still fighting, and with the positive message of I am, I can, I will. So that's how that came about, and it's obviously with being in film and other things, it's hard sometimes to focus on that, but when I am able, I go and I speak about it and push my clothing line too. So
that's one of the things I love about you the most, man. Is your ability to connect with our youth. Here at CAP, we're on a lot of, we have our own channel and stuff like that, but we're on social media, but we're primarily on Facebook, YouTube, stuff like that, which, these are social medias like that, are typically 30 and above, pretty much a lot of people under 30 go to Instagram or TikTok, you know, and our Instagram, TikTok games are weak, you know, and we all keep having discussions about we need to get into this world because this is where our youth are.
Yeah.
You know, but seeing you're out there with our youth, you know,
Yeah.
and you're able to connect, you know, like I said, you're a great role model. You know, I have seen your sweaters in White Shield, North Dakota. I've seen your sweaters in Albuquerque and in Denver. You know what I mean? Riverside, you know, all these places, and I'm just like, man, this guy's been every, you know, he's reaching, you know, this movement is getting out there.
Yeah.
You know, so kind of talk about some of the support that you are getting, you know, from different communities.
Well, it started off me pushing myself. I mean, obviously, you know, anything you start with, you got to market yourself. You got to push yourself. You got to spend money, your own money, and, you know, travel on your own. And that's what I was doing. I was like, yo, you know, I got this message, you know, this is who I am. And this was at a time that I was not, I mean, I got All-State in basketball. I had graduated, but I was still in college. I didn't graduate college. I wasn't in TV and film. All I had was dream, goals, and aspirations. And I was going to these schools and speaking my message, you know, of I am, I can, I will. And then gradually, you know, it started, you know, there's some people here and there who heard about me and my movement and what I do. And then it just, you know, kind of got, it's getting, you know, we're still pushing, we're still trying to, you know, push our message and our movement. But it started, you know, that's how it works. You know, somebody hears about you and, oh, you know, he's a good speaker, he has a good message, and then, oh, maybe you should get it, and then next person. So, you know, this past year I went on a little tour, and I was in North Dakota, Canada, Florida. I'll have to look. I was in 5 or 6 different places in the month of November, and that was the first time that I was actually, you know, movement like that. You know, sometimes there's here. I was Wind River, Res, Wyoming. Shout out to my family over there. But it's just it's building connections, and it's moving and understanding, you know, the communities that you go to, and getting, you know, because I like to be in the community. You know, I don't like to just be in and out, you know, and that's because that's where you get to know them, you get to understand a little bit about, you know, where they come from and what they do. And that's the most beautiful thing about it. But visiting each community, you know, and like I said, still on that journey of pushing and trying to get the movement and the message out there. You know, it's so beautiful because you meet so many people. You meet these kids, you know, you meet these teenagers, these adults, and you know, it's the idea and the movement, the purpose, the passion to show, to, like you said earlier, we can talk all we want, but to be is what matters. So to be there, to show them, you know, this is me. This is, you know, I'm just like you. I fail. I make mistakes. I mess up. May have smoked a little bit. May have drank a little bit, just like you, you know. But there's a way, you know, and that's why going into these communities, these places, especially in around Oklahoma, you know, where I'm from, is beautiful to me and awesome, and something that I continue to want to continue, and I'm going to continue to push, you know, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Is you can have all the money, the cars, the whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's how many lives you touch and people you inspire, you know, because you can't take nothing with you when you're gone. You can't take the money, the cars, the clothes, whatever, but you can take a legacy of how you inspired. And that's my mission. That's my goal, is to help inspire and to create a friendship and relationship to as many youth and teens as possible around the world. Not just youth and teens, but I mean, even everybody, you know, because we can all take something from each other, you know, whether you're 50, 40, 30, or 15, we can all help each other in one way or the other, you know. So that's my goal, that's my mission, is to continue to push in all aspects and create these relationships, these community ties, you know.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of one of the things I'm glad that you know, touched up so much on this, because that's one of the things I wanted our audience to learn, because, you know, it's easy to see the highlights, you know, it's easy to see, you know, the finish line, you know, in our work, you know, but not realize that there's so much journey and sacrifice involved with it, you know. And like you were saying, you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, you paid your own way. You know what I mean? You had to make your own sacrifices. You know, throughout all the critics, throughout, you know, you're talking about with, you know, the internal issue, you know, the mental health, the external, you know, factors, you know, coming into play, the haters, all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still overcome because this is a message and a belief and a purpose that you have. You know, and you know, and so, you know, a lot of this is, you know, like I said, the discipline, you know, it's the hard work. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just a free ride.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. And that's, you know, believe in yourself. I believe in my message. I believe in my clothing line. I believe in me. That was the best thing that I could have ever done, was take the step to believe in myself, you know, because at first you have people talking about you, you have people hating on you, and it brings you down, you know, because that's just life. You know, when people talk about you, whenever you're trying to do good and do better and people are talking about you, you know, it hurts. But as you begin to understand and as you begin to be there for you, those people just begin to motivate you. Those people just begin to push you and make you work harder because you believe in you, you know, and that's what I always tell people is the best thing that you can ever do is to believe in you, you know, be there for yourself, show up for yourself because you deserve it, you know, and that's one of the best things that I ever did and anybody could ever do, you know, is believe in yourself, believe in your work, believe in your talents, put in the work, make it work, believe in yourself, you know, so.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of one of the things that, you know, I've always, you know, like I said, just with this movement, whenever you first reached out to me about doing the video, you know, because watching you play ball, you know, it just kind of reminds me of sometimes you see these athletes, you know, when you talk to them about, you know, who they are, you know, and oftentimes they're pushed into that position at a young age by their parents. You know, you don't want you to be, you're going to be this, you're going to be a good ball player, you're going to be a good athlete, you're going to be this, you know, and your parents are pushing you into it. And sometimes it might not be necessarily what you would have chose for yourself. Yeah. You know, and then sometimes when you ask these athletes in the NBA, you know, who are you? They're like, I don't know, you know. I've been who my parents wanted me to be. Exactly. You know, but this is something that you know, created. You inspired yourself, motivated yourself to push forward. This is like a dream, a fruition of your own. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that to me has gone a long way because you could have done anything in life. You know what I mean? Like you could have gone any route. Yeah. You know, and that's the thing. It's like you choose to give back, to be part of our communities and to inspire our youth. You know, and to me, like I said, that speaks volumes about, you know, your character, your integrity, who you are as a person, you know, and your purpose. Yeah. You know, like I said, I've always seen you as a young leader, you know, even though you're a young man, you got that old spirit, you know, and it's like, but not like a old man spirit, but just like a wisdom, you know what I mean, about you, a foresight about you that a lot of people your age didn't have, you know, and you just the fact that you are out there, like I said, you're a positive male role model, which is something that we lack, you know, in our communities a lot. Our women have been stepping up, you know, they've been making a lot of, you know, which is great because they're the backbones to our humanity and our culture, you know. But it's all like for our youth to see more positive male role models, you know. I think that's something that, you know, it's gonna go a long way. You know,
it's gonna take all of us, man. It takes that's the whole thing is it. It's going to take every single one of us, you know, because we all create a chain. You know, whenever I do it, someone else sees it and they come on. Whenever somebody sees you doing it, like I can do it too. And it creates this chain that eventually we're all going to be connected to that and linked to that chain, you know. So it goes back to that thing, be the change you want to see in the world, you know, and that's a big part of doing it is being it, you know, and it creates that force for other people to latch on and to be a part of it, you know, and that's how we're going to do this. That's how we're going to heal. That's how we're going to overcome these barriers that have been put in front of us as Native people, is being there for each other, is supporting each other, is holding each other accountable, you know, because our biggest enemy is ourselves. You know, throughout our communities, we have so many people that's hating on each other. We have so many people talking bad about each other. We have so many people who are jealous and envious, and to heal and to move forward, we cannot have that in our communities. And that's something that collectively as a group, we're going to have to do together. Now, it goes back to the youth, you know, because sometimes adults are stuck in their ways and there ain't no changing them adults, them older people, you know. But we can get to our youth. We can talk to our youth. We can change their perspective. We can have an impact on the way they think, the way that they feel, the way that they support each other. And that's where the change is going to come, and that's why I'm so focused on our youth, our young teens, our young adults, because that's the next generation that's going to be that change, so.
Man, speaking of next gen, what's next for you?
Right now, we're going back to work on Yellowstone. I'm going to be going back as a director's assistant. So that's what my next couple months will be like. And that's for right now, obviously, going into that, like I said earlier, it's learning, it's pushing, it's being a book, or, not being a book, but writing down in my book, So obviously continue to push my acting, continue to push my movement, but also just being invested in working with Christina and the Yellowstone family to get that created and whatever's next. It's kind of one of those things that, it's one thing to the other. So you get there, you get involved, and then you see what's next. You move accordingly. If whatever it is, we move how we need to move, and we make it happen.
I was curious because you seem to make your dreams come a reality, and so I was just kind of curious. What are your 5-year plans? What are your 10-year plans?
To be the storyteller at the highest, at a level that I was better than yesterday. So whether that's acting, whether it's being on more films and TV series, whether that's being better at my craft, continually growing, and continually pushing to eventually, like I said, write and direct and be a leader and an inspiration and a consultant for our people in the industry, to continue to tell stories and create stories and help make stories, just being better. Pushing to be better in all aspects, I think that's one of my goal, my ultimate goals every day, and whether it's 5, 10, 15 years, is just continue to be better. That was always my thing, is how am I being better? How am I getting better? How am I learning? How am I pushing? How am I, getting? And then back to my clothing, my goal for my clothing line, I eventually want to partner. I eventually want to do some partnerships, with some major name brands. I can see that happening. I want to make that happen with this, bringing awareness through my movement, my clothing line, to these major companies, in pushing the narrative of our people of success and positivity, and showing the world how beautiful and how strong we are and what we're capable of, because like I said, we are not the statistics that we are right now. We are stronger than that. And I'm excited to show the world and help, just be one of thousands and thousands of our Native people who are making that push to do that for our people, So just continue to move forward and to push the movement, push the work hard, bring light and positivity, awareness to thousands and millions of people all over the world. That's what I'm going to do, so.
Absolutely, man. And for anybody out there that may want to, follow you or support you, or, maybe even contact you about maybe partnerships or anything like that, is there a place they can go to?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, CW Relentless, and then my website is www.cwiamiwill.com, and that's also on my Instagram, my Facebook, which is under Christian Wassana. I am, I can, I will, for more information, bookings, who I am, where I come from, all that good stuff. So,
man, so you guys heard it there. Kristen, is there anything you want to say that I maybe didn't ask or we didn't talk about?
Man, I think we talked about it all. I think we covered it all. Life is a never-ending journey of trials and tribulations and error, and be a good person, support people, hold love in your heart, be love, share love, be there for each other, support each other. Don't let hatred and anger win, because whenever you let hatred and anger win, you're not able to move forward and be the best you that you can be. You cannot be the best you that you can be whenever you have jealousy, anger, and hatred inside of your heart. So I encourage people, to get those feelings out, heal, do what you got to do to heal your insecurities, your traumas, whatever it may be that's making you cast because it'll affect you and it'll hurt you. Because I was once that. I was once a hater. You know, I was once one of those people that didn't want to see people do better than me. I didn't want to see them succeed more than me. And I was like, man, this is only hurting myself. I'm only hurting myself when I feel like this and I'm doing this. So I let love take over. You know, I let love take over my heart. And now I want to see people succeed. I want to see people, you know, I want to help my people. I want to bring my people up with me. You know, for instance, you know, I'm in any way that I can help my people and bring them with me and support them and help them. You know, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I encourage other people to do. You know, we got to look out for each other. We got to protect each other. We got to be there for each other. So, that's just
amen, man. Say. Amen. You know, and that's the thing, you know, like, man, I truly look forward to, you know, reading these chapters of your life, you know, as you go about writing, because like I said, you're still, how old are you? 25?
27.
27. So you see, you're still just a young man, you know, and so you got so many chapters ahead of you, you know, and I look forward to, like I said, just watching them unfold, watching your continued success, your continued growth, you know, not just as a man, you know, as a native man, but as a leader, you know what I'm saying, a role model, and, you know, someone that I know is going to contribute a lot to our people and help our people get better, you know, which is what we all should want for our people, you know, and so, you know, that's why, again, thank you for everything that you are doing for our people, for our youth. You know, thank you for the great and positive message that you're sharing into this world, you know, and like I said, I just want to thank you for your time, because I know you're extremely busy, you know, and, you know, this was you know, my first episode, you know, my first guest. So I appreciate you coming on and, you know, doing this for you.
I appreciate you, brother, for everything that you do as well. You know, your work, your drive, your passion, your purpose that you have for our people, for your storytelling. I appreciate it, all that you do. And again, I'm excited for you too, you know, for your journey and what you continue to make and produce and create, you know, as an individual. So I appreciate it. I always appreciate you. And thank you for having me on here.
Brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later. Continue to support and follow and like, you know, CAP and also Christian Wassana. You know, again, we thank him for his time. We thank him for everything that he's doing. So, ha-hoo.